And again, I'm Chris Lofton. I'm president of New Horizon Construction Services. And I'm proud to say that we're celebrating, as Mike said, we've been in the business for a long time. We're celebrating our 18th year in business, so we're very proud of that. And I'm honored to be here to speak before you all today and thank Mike and his team for putting this great event together. I've known Michael for many years, and I sincerely appreciate his passion and his endeavors to help others, not only to develop their business, but also in their personal lives. And to give you a brief history of NACS, we started our company in 2006. We started out working in our homes. There was no office. The dining room table, that's where the blueprints were drawn out at. That's where the invoices, there was the personal Dell computer at the house when they had Yahoo Mail back in the day, in Roadrunner. So we've had a journey. So in 3 years later, in 2009, we evolved from being a small MBE subcontractor to a general contractor. And by 2012, we purchased our 40,000 square foot building that we own. Our company headquarters up in Groveland, Florida, right near Claremont. And as of this current day, we have over 100 employees. And we've also been able to start an electrical and plumbing division within the past 2 years. With that said, it leads me into one of the topics that Mike wanted me to touch on, which is how to be great at what you're doing and then be able to expand into other markets and services. From my own personal experience, if you already have good working relationship with your clients and have the level of trust and they have the respect for you, for your work, you don't have to be afraid to ask them for other opportunities that your company is capable of doing. Sometimes the low-hanging fruit is right there before you and you have to just ask for it. Like they say, a closed mouth don't get fed and the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and it's very true. So let's face it, people do business with people. Oftentimes the clients that you're taking care of, by providing them with quality work and services, they will reward you with other opportunities to help grow your business. And also in business, you must be able to seize each opportunity that come to you, because if you can't service your customer, they will always find someone else, and that opportunity is gone and it may never come back. It's gone forever. So as the saying goes, when there's no risk, there's no reward. So one of the key things of being successful in business is you have to take calculated risks sometimes. Risks are a part of running the business. They can help you make the right decisions and become a better entrepreneur who can take their business to the next level. And also, you have to sometimes create your own opportunities and have the mindset, instead of waiting on things to happen, you're going to make things happen. Yeah. Yes. So, and one thing I want to touch on, I remember when I first quit my company, one of my bosses, he was like, Chris, we admire what you're doing. He's like, you know what? Go and this is a white gentleman. He's telling me, go and apply for all of the different, certifications for the MBE, the LDB, and all the other statuses. But the one thing I would say, and I've seen it happen to some of my friends, and what I mean about sometimes you have to make things happen. Just because you have your minority certification and you're going to all of these town hall meetings, and when they're going to spend $300 million downtown in Orlando upgrading the arena, don't think just because you have that certification that you're going to be guaranteed work. You still have to go door knocking. You still have to go and sell your company to these other entities. So you also have to reinvest into your business. As I mentioned a minute ago, we own a 12,000 square foot facility in Groveland, right near Claremont. And I'm going to give you a backstory to that. As you heard me say a minute ago, we started out working in our houses. So after we left from working in our houses, we rented a 2,000 square foot facility near Winter Garden Road. From that facility, we went to another place near Orange Blossom Trail. It was 10,000. From there, we went near Silver Star. It was a 14,000 square foot building. But when we went to go lease this 14,000 square foot building, I was not at this particular site visit, but my business partner, when I saw him later on that day, he was really troubled. I'm like, what's going on, Ron? He's like, man, you can't believe what just happened. And he's like, but I do have to respect the guy for being honest. And the guy was like, hey, you know what? This building is $7,500 a month. I have to be honest. One of my partners, they don't really like renting to minority owned businesses. And Ron told him, he said, hey, because you had one bad experience with one minority, you can't put all of us in the same category. So needless to say, we needed the space for the type of work that we were doing. We were able to secure the lease. It was a 3-year lease, $7,500 a month. That's $90,000 a year. We did that for 3 years. And how God works, when the lease ended, we were able to go and purchase our own building. And we paid that building off in less than 10 years. So you have to create your own opportunities. They did not want to give us the opportunity to lease this building to help grow our company. So we had to go and create our own opportunities. We had to pay that lease and keep saving money, keep reinvesting back into the business. And, we're mortgage free. Yes, you had a question? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. All right. You have to also develop trust in your trade partners. We can't do a lot of the stuff that we do by ourselves. We have to solicit help. So you have to do what you're going to say you're going to do with your trade partners. You have to also have the trust with your clients by always doing what you're saying you're going to do and always provide them with service after the sale. And as I think of being great, you can never become complacent within your business. You can never become complacent. You have to constantly push yourself and your team to always put their best foot forward. So to this point, speaking of complacency, I'm reminded of when I was younger in construction. I often remind myself of it to keep myself in check. I had this older gentleman on the job. His name was Larry. He was training me, and he was also my mentor. And at the time, I was a carpenter. And Larry, he said, Chris, he said, I see some of the guys you're hanging with on the job, and I don't really like what I see. You're becoming complacent on the job. He said, but I'm going to leave you with this here. If all you're going to do in this big company is be a carpenter, just make sure you're the damn best carpenter on the job. He told me just like that. So it kind of puzzled me, but he was giving me tough love. So as I internal what Larry was really trying to tell me, he was saying, Chris, you know what? Whatever you decide to do in life, just be the best at it. So you know what? I was the best damn carpenter on the job. And from being the best carpenter, I became the lead carpenter. Then I became the foreman, then the general foreman, then the assistant superintendent, then the general superintendent. And by me, climbing those ladders of the ranks, a lot of the guys that I started out behind, that I caught up with, I passed them. Now I'm these guys' boss. I just had a certain drive in me that I just want to be great. And, that attitude is what helps sustain me and get me to where I am today. Because I'm this young black kid. I grew up in Mississippi. At the time, I was not living here in Florida. They put me on the planes. I'm in Miami. I'm the only black person in a meeting with my peers, like 20 other people. I'm the only black. I'm the youngest, and I'm black. So that it just made me feel great, and it also reminded me of when I had my first black boss. It was a guy from Nigeria, and I remember going home telling my parents, I'm like, I got a black boss. That was a proud moment for me because, we're always working for someone that don't look like us, And so during my time with Hensel Phelps, Mike say we both worked with other large outfits before we ventured out on our own. But with me working with Hensel Phelps at the time, being a young black guy in my position, it gave other people that looked like me hope, male and female. And, and it just opened doors. I was a young trailblazer in that company. And also in business, you have to make wise decisions that are best for your company. Sometimes your client, they may approach you with some opportunities or for service that they may need, but you cannot be afraid to tell your clients no sometimes, especially if you lack the resources or if you have other concerns. One of the worst things to do in business is to promise something that you're not able to deliver on, because this will more times than not cause more harm to the relationship than if you just said no. If you take the job or you took whatever it was that they needed and you can't fulfill, it just kind of causes more harm than good. And and to that point, there's a saying that goes like this, all money is not good money. So for instance, I tell you another story. When COVID was in full effect, one of our clients called me. Everything was shut down because of social distance. They had this big, huge property. I can't name the property or the owner. They're a dear client of mine, but I get this call, Chris, We got a huge problem at one of our properties. For some reason, the engineer decided, hey, the property is vacant. We're going to shut the AC off. So now you have all this humidity in the building. You got the ceiling sweating. Now moisture creates mold and mildew. So when I go walk the property, with my wisdom, and I'm sure Mike has been on jobs as well, that when you walk it, you know that someone else has seen it before you got there. And I just know that they were sticker shocked from the price that they got from this big remediation company. It probably was a Serpro or one of the other bigger outfits. But even though we could have made a lot of money, we could have made a ton of money, I didn't want to do my client like that, nor did I want to, put our company in some kind of position that can come back and bite us, later on because of greed or just the opportunities there to make all this money. I just couldn't do it. So I reverted back to the client, and I'm like, you know what? If you just insist that we still do this work, we have to do a whole harmless agreement attached to the contract. And so when he saw where I was going with that, because I'm like, we don't want to be caught in any kind of litigation in the future. And so that forced my client to do the right thing. They're trying to cost save and save money, do value engineering, but it forced them to do the right thing. And he thanked me for that. So sometimes, all money is not good money. You can't, you always have to think about, your company first. And just because the opportunity is there sometimes, it doesn't mean you always have to take it. So, with saying that, sometime in business, you have to be professionally responsible to say no when it's in the best interest of your company and also your clients. So I always keep that in mind. And also in business, you have to constantly strategize and be fearless. Fear is the biggest killer of dreams, the biggest killer. If you don't believe in yourself, no one else will. Even in the face of adversities and difficult times, you still have to press forward with momentum. And to that point, I'm going to read a quote from Steve Jobs, the late Steve Jobs from Apple. And he says, I'm convinced that about half of what separates the successful entrepreneurs from the non-successful ones is pure perseverance. And what Steve Jobs is saying to us is being an entrepreneur is challenging, and it's easy to give up and move on to something else. But the biggest part of being successful is having the stamina to stick through the hard times without quitting. And, the dictionary, what it says about the definition of perseverance is perseverance is persistent in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. And we all know the late Aaliyah, who died in the tragic plane crash. She had a song that one of the hooks was, if at first you don't succeed, dust yourself off and try again. And so that goes for all of us. Man, you think they went to the moon on their first try? The airlines, I know you said you flew here from Louisiana. The airlines that we all ride on, 60,000 feet in the air, you think that it was successful on its first try? But perseverance is what got man on the moon, is what got us flying, across the country. Instead of taking 10 days to drive to California, we can be there in a matter of hours from Florida. So also in business, you have to have strategy. So as we talk about strategies, one of the main things that come to mind for me is that you must always be working on your business and not just working in your business. If you're just working in the business, you can't see the forest from the trees. You're just dealing with all of the day-to-day. You have to be working on your business. And you have to always have a strong pulse on how your business is doing. And the cart cannot be in front of the horse. And, as we know through the scripture, if the blind lead the blind, we're all going to fall in the ditch. So the cart cannot be in the front of the horse. You have to have a strong pulse on how your business is doing. And in so having a strategy, you have to be organized. It's much easier to make your business succeed if you're organized. When you are organized, it will be easy to complete your daily tasks and weekly tasks and stay on top of your to-do list. You should always encourage your staff and team to be organized as well. That way, you will all be working together as a team to achieve your objective, which ultimately is making your business successful. In business, you also have to analyze your competitors. You guys don't think that McDonald's and KFC and Wendy's and Burger King, you don't think that they try to look at their different market strategies, even like General Motors. Like I got a new Corvette. So
another one.
Yeah. So with this car, they went and bought a Ferrari and they reverse engineered it. They tore it down to see how, okay, we want a flat plane crank in our engine. So that's what we have to do in business. We have to analyze what are our competitors doing? What's working for them? What's not working for them? What mistakes did they make? So we have to always, be on top of what our competitors doing. We have so-called frenemies in the industry, not in a bad way, but when you have frenemies, you're constantly competing with each other. The clients love it because sometimes it drives their costs down. Because at one point, we were on the outside looking in, and our strategy was to get a seat at the table, and we got a seat at the table. And we had people talking all kind of stuff about us. Oh, how are they doing it for this? How are they doing it for that? But then 2 years later, now we can't beat them on the job. So, you have to have different strategies and what works for you. Our overhead was not that high at the time. It's a little higher now than it was. But you have to always analyze what your competitors are doing. You have to be consistent in business. Consistency is key to success in business. If you are selling a product or offering services, make sure that you're consistently offering high quality products and services. This way your customer will trust you. Once you have established trust with your customer, they are more likely to not give your competition work that normally you would get. And that would mean more sales and ultimately more growth for your company. Another thing you have to do, you have to hire the right people. And that's what I'm talking about too, when you're working on the business instead of working in the business. I have a friend back home in Mississippi. God bless his soul. Great guy. But he don't think out the box. He's a definition of working in his business. He's the guy to go and estimate the job. He's the guy that goes back home and does the bidding and send it into the owner. He's the guy that calling up the suppliers, picking up the materials, out there managing the project with his people, but he's not working on the business to where he can just keep, putting resources and having other work for his guys to go, because all he's doing, he's just working from job to job. So we have to always get the right people so that you can go out and be about running your business. And it don't happen overnight. I was one of those people. I was the guy running the Home Depot. I was the guy installing drywall, whatever it took in the beginning. But at some point, you have to step back and get the right people on your team that can help you grow your company and get it to the next level. You just have to, you have to be willing to make sacrifices for your business. In business, there are situations that you must make sacrifices with sometimes. Sometimes you will have to work for longer periods and spend less time with your family and friends, which we all have gone through that at some point. But it's vital to the success and growth of your business. These sacrifices will be rewarded in the long run. So as an entrepreneur, never be afraid to make sacrifices if you want your business to grow and stay afloat. We have to be creative. Creativity is also a business key to success. Creativity is about looking for ways to help your business grow and stand out from the crowd. Of course, when it comes to running a business and striving to become a smart entrepreneur, you have to be open to both new approaches and ideas that can potentially help your business grow. You have to keep detailed records. If you want your business to be successful, you must have detailed records. This is the only way you will allow your business to be financially sound, and you will know whether you're making a profit or not. I'll tell another person's story when it comes to record keeping. A true story. At one point, so we have a CPA, outside CPA, third party. They do all of our accounting, auditing, and things of that nature. So at one point in the beginning, we're like, we can save this money. We don't really need a CPA. So a portion of the business we started just doing in-house, and it was the self-reporting and paying the payroll taxes. So, we had a little lapse at one point, and we got a knock on the door. It's the IRS. You know, the guy was really nice. He was professional. But what he left us with that day, he's like, look, if I don't have $80,000 today, when I come back tomorrow, it's not going to be nice. So for us, what that meant, tomorrow we'll come in here, they're going to have locks on our office door. They're going to probably seize our vehicles, this, that, and the third. But thank God we had the money. We stroked the check, never heard from them again. But that was a teachable moment, you know, about just keeping your records in order and just staying on top of your business. Paying the taxes, it's a must. You have to. And especially the payroll taxes. That's one of the things that they frown on a lot. So I'm just giving you guys a lesson that we had to learn the hard way. If the problem went away quickly because we were able to pay it immediately. But it's just a lesson learned that we had, because imagine if we hadn't had the money, I probably wouldn't be standing here today. We would have had everything seized. And you know, when the government come in, they're going to freeze your accounts. They're going to do everything. And it's going to just, you know, this is the revenue disruptor. It's going to really disrupt your business on a big scale. And, you know, and it would have been bad. But I just want to share that with you guys. You have to prioritize your customer service. Without your customer service, your business cannot exist. If you want your business to thrive, you must prioritize your customers. Offering excellent customer experience is one of the most crucial things you can do to improve your business's chances of succeeding. Remember this, that your business can only be driven by your customer satisfaction. And another thing, on a personal note, you have to remain physically fit. There's no way that you will increase your business chances of success if you are physically or mentally unfit. You know, it can be really stressful in business. And that's one of the things I talked to Mike about during the podcast. Like if I didn't have a business partner and we tell each other all the time, we don't know if this company, well, we know the company would not be where it's at today. Matter of fact, we interviewed a guy that we're probably gonna be hiring. He's coming over from Colorado. He was a business owner, and I talked with him a couple of weeks ago, and he said that's one of the reasons his business did not succeed, because he was the only person. He had no one to bounce ideas off of. He had all of the sole financial responsibilities. It was just him. So you have to be mentally fit, physically fit, and all those things, you know, to help make your business successful. So in closing, I just want to leave you with one other quote from Booker T. Washington. And it says, success is to be measured, not so much by the position that one has reached in life, as by the obstacles which he has overcome while trying to succeed. We're always going to have obstacles. We're always going to have certain type of barriers. But as long as you have it here in your heart, you can do anything in life that you want to do. And like I say, you have to be fearless. Fear is the biggest killer of dreams. Whatever you think, you can do it. So with that, I'll end it and open up to any questions anyone may have.
All right, y'all clap it up for Chris, y'all. So I'm gonna have the mic go around for you all to ask questions, and Chris and I are gonna have a little conversation. Some great information on how we should work on our business, and we heard a lot of the same thing all over again, right? However, if you can think about this for a second, what's that one thing that you're thinking but not saying right now that is possibly keeping you from doing what Scott and Chris just told you? What's that one thing like, yeah, I heard what y'all said, but anybody want to share?
I don't know if I can do that. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
I don't know if I can do that.
I don't know if I can do that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm capable of doing
I don't know if I'm capable.
Right.
What you said, Rico?
I'm capable of just operating with money.
I don't have the resources.
Yeah, I know what I want to do, but
I don't have. How do I get the resources? Okay, this good, y'all. This good, because it's great to go to conferences, hear speakers, watch podcasts. We get information, but information without implementation is what? Procrastination. And so I want you to understand, like, it's great for you all. I love seeing you all taking these notes and stuff. And y'all said, we're not going to even use the playbook. I brought my own binder. It's all good. Like, I love it. I love seeing you all taking notes. And it's great.
So to kind of touch on him, you saying finances?
Yeah, I know what I want to do.
He capable.
Strategize the whole thing, but there's not always that money, that revenue coming in to do what I know I can do.
Are you talking more like you financing the project or getting the project with the right draws?
It don't matter.
Yeah.
Hey, no money equals no money.
I can tell you, you know, when we first started, like, man, it was some tough times at some point. You know, maxing out your personal credit card. There were no company credit cards. Maxing out your personal credit cards. Not being able to pay yourself, but you're pulling money out of the bank to pay your employees, to pay your vendors. And then when you do get a check in, it going right back to paying off your Amex or your Capital One and other business ventures. But, you know, just staying the course and just digging deep and just trying to find that. I heard Mike talk a lot about the sweet spot, finding the sweet spot to where you can thrive and just grow your business. Even trying to, you know, having a relationship with your bank, you know, having lines of credit, even applying, like the company at one point we had to do personal guarantees. Now we don't have to do that anymore. The company, it has its own credit, and you know.
Chris, I think you answered the question. Now this is where I think a lot of people falter. Enrico, I know you're gonna understand what I'm saying. I just want you to grab a hold of it for a second. See, sometimes we want a quick solution, and it's not always a quick solution. It's not always a quick fix. It is those core value pieces that we've been saying all day that we keep overlooking. See, some of us don't realize it is in essence those character qualities of staying consistent, continuing to persevere, not giving up. It's all of that stuff that helps you overcome those times. Because see, Chris is real humble and he's not going to tell y'all all the dirt, even though he talked about the RS knocking on the door. That was a great story. But he has way more stories than I have, but you're just not hearing them all. And so I think that a lot of times, once you see people, we go through seasons of success, what happens is we recognize what really caused us to get there. And as much as we can talk about all the tactics, we could talk about the strategies, he started out the whole discussion and said, if my mind is not where it needs to be, how can I ever execute being where I need to be? And so that's why it's really, really important for us to think about that. All right, next question.
Yeah, piggybacking off what you just said about the, I'm assuming getting positioned to do certain things.
That's your mic. Yeah, we'll get you another mic.
Yeah. I have to apologize for that. That was actually my bank manager calling me. Like you said, I have a good relationship with two bank managers. Okay. So I had to take that out. Yeah. But yeah, I've been able to set myself up. That I didn't realize when I first started. I didn't know about lines of credit and this and that. That's what I have now. Lines of credit cards, stuff to help me when that money is not coming in.
Yes.
So yeah, I would advise anybody. I tell people that want to know a little bit of information I got, like you gotta have I would recommend anybody can have a good relationship with your bank manager.
Yes,
and that's been pivotal for me.
And I'm going to touch on something on a more personal note too. You know, I'm always talking about reinvesting back into the business. You know, I take a paycheck just like everyone in the company. Every 2 weeks, I get a direct deposit like everybody else in the company. We pay our employees bonuses. We get bonuses as well. But on a personal note, my business partner and I told Mike a while back, in the next 9-10 years, we're probably looking at slowing down a little bit. We both have kids in the company, and at some point they'll be running it. But outside of construction, we're doing stuff on a personal note that even if the construction market was to take a crash, we're both getting into some real estate, where we're buying properties. At one point we were flipping and selling houses. Now we're keeping them because there's so many people moving here to Florida. And now they're going to be rental income properties. And our goal is to have at least 20 houses each, by the next 9.5, 10 years. So no matter what happens to the construction market, there's still some revenue coming in, which we don't really forecast. God has blessed us for the past 18 years. We don't see any slowing down with that. But I'm just saying on a personal note, outside of your business, if you have other resources that you can put money toward to kind of insulate yourself, and just have other options. And also another thing that we did with extra resource that we had, we started an electrical division. I was just telling my wife last night, the electrical division in past, coming up on a year and a half, over $10 million.
Jesus.
That's not bad for a new
It's
company.
not bad, bro. Y'all clap it up.
The plumbing,
not bad. That's awesome.
The plumbing division that we started, we were able to give our own plumbing company a $5 million contract. That New Horizon Construction Service gave its own plumbing division. So once again, it's about creating opportunities. So even if we're not making, just say if something happened with the general contracting side, there's an electrical company, there's a plumbing company. Right now we're working with Balfour Beatty out at Port Orleans. I think that's like a $3 million contract with those guys. So you have to create your own opportunities. You cannot just wait on stuff to happen. You have to create your own opportunity. No one's going to look out for you like you. So.
I want to do the MEP mechanical part.
No, we're not there yet. We're not there yet. But we could probably have some discussion on that. Yeah.
Questions? Any other questions? Questions? Go ahead.
You talking about the tax stuff earlier? What, the first couple of years you guys were trying to do your own tax?
No, it was given to the CPA, but then we were like, you know what? We shouldn't be paying them this retainer every month, and trying to save money and end up costing us more money because with those penalties and fees, 10,000 of it might have been penalties of the 80,000 that we had to pay.
So you guys were trying to do your own books.
Yeah, we were. And so now you have to send that money in every quarter.
Right. So you guys want to do it quarterly?
We weren't sending it in.
Doing year-end tax?
Yeah, we were. They were still doing the year-end tax. It was the employee. It was the payroll tax.
No, I know, but so you had a CPA year-end
Yes.
tax, but you guys are trying to do your own books throughout the year.
Just for the self-reporting for the payroll stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I did the
so
same thing.
we gave it back. We had that issue. And
me too.
Ever want those, like they said, the alphabet boards. We don't ever want those problems again.
Yeah, me too. And I had mine's in house for years, and I went through a situation where, as we were growing, my in-house bookkeeper wasn't capable of doing the job cost accounting at a higher level, over under billing, stuff like that. So I hired somebody else, started growing. I hired somebody else that I thought had the resume, the experience, messed my books up. Yeah. It took me 3 months to get it cleaned up. Like when you grow and now you may be viewing things, but you're not in it. So what level of education, exposure, experience it takes for you to grow, to release all of that stuff, and then keep people accountable for those things, but things happen. Now you got to deal with it. So that's part of, okay, as we grow, maybe we need to think about what strategies we change because we are releasing some of our control from these things. So that's a whole nother level of thinking. Like, how do we, right, protect ourselves more as we continue to grow? What things can we put in place to protect our bottom line, even though we may have to pay a little bit more money for it? You know, you're like, well, hey, we were fine saving money up to this point.
Yeah. And to Mike's point, I tell myself all the time, and you guys know the saying, you're going to pay now or you're going to pay later, but you're going to pay. You're going to pay. Yeah. So sometimes it's just better just go ahead and outsource it to these accountants. This is what they do. They live, breathe it. They can do this stuff with their eyes closed. And when you're trying to figure out, well, did we send in enough? Did we under project, over project? Right. They already know all the formulas.
And you have a little bit, like you said, more insulation, because at least you have somebody else you can blame. And that, even though the IRS won't necessarily walk away and say you're out of it, that still gives you some insulation where they can have, okay, let's get with this CPA and find out what's going on. And they're more forgiving because you had somebody else that was certified, that was also responsible for making sure it was right.
And to Mike's point, there was at one point the CPA, they made an error on something. So we get another notification from the IRS. We had to pay some kind of penalty. But to Mike's point, guess who paid it? The CPA, they were like, you know what? That was our mistake. We didn't do this, we didn't do that. And they cut a check to the IRS on our behalf. So as you said, it can help insulate you. And they know how to talk to these people.
Yes.
You know, we're not going to have the gift of gab like they're going to have if you're talking to an agent on the phone.
And they have relationships.
Yeah.
They have relationships. Questions?
Yeah. So how many years in before you made that decision that you need a CPA? Because I do know, having had a CPA, the value that helped me during the COVID time for the PPP loan, that nature that they were given. The CPA and the housekeeping made that part seamless that you qualified like that. And who knew the next year they would come back and say, we're going to audit you.
Yeah.
And it made it easy because it was all together. So
we were like 3 years in the business before we started doing things the correct way. Because, you know, let's face it, most of us, we come from, working class families. Maybe, you know, my dad, he was somewhat of an entrepreneur. My business partner, his mom and dad was somewhat of an entrepreneur, but not to the level of what we're doing stuff. And, you know, we did a lot of things wrong. We just did. I'm reminded too, one time, workers' comp, when they do the audits on the jobs, right? We were doing a job over in Tampa and we probably had a $90,000 payout in. Well, guess what? It was like $15,000 short because we didn't have the right workers' comp coverage for our team that was working on the job. So when that company got audited, they just took that money right out of our check. And so, you know, we had to learn some things by trial and error because no one taught us. You know, we had to learn stuff, but, you know, and then you have to employ and hire the right people. And so now, you know, we have the best insurance. We have a broker that shop for the best rates for our auto policy, our umbrella policy, for everything. So the issues and problems that we had in the past, we no longer have them. We just stroke a check once a year, every February when they come. I think we can make the payments in 4 payments or sometimes 1 payment. But whatever we needed to do to make sure that our business was operating where it needed to be, because, and Mike will tell you, with not having the right auto policy, you can't even drive your company trucks on some of these people's properties. If you don't have the right workers' comp, you know, and other policies to where when the inspectors come out to walk your site, and you have to name them as additionally insured, that means when your client come out, if there's a slip and fall, if their employee slip and fall on your job, your insurance is going to kick in before theirs kick in. So you have to have all of that stuff in place. So, you know, once again, you have to go and outsource. And as the saying goes, unfortunately, you have to spend money to make money. But all of that stuff is rolled into your bid, all your overhead, when you're estimating the projects.
Hey, Chris, I was going to ask you, see, Julian, we'll go to you next. What made you decide, well, let me back up. At what point you said, let's do $90 million? Like, at what stage did you all decide from just being, hey, doing a few million a year to say, let's do 90 and then let's open up other divisions? Like, what you think happened, or what was the mindset?
It was just part of the goal. And I go back to Hensel Phelps, and I tell people all the time, when I started working with them in the 90s, I remember when they were just $150 million a year company. And then I remember when they became $1 billion company, right before 9/11, they had an $850 million project at the Pentagon. That was before the plane ran into the Pentagon. So they got $850 million job going on here. We had $350 million going on at Miami Airport. They had another big job in Dallas, another one up in Maryland somewhere. So just seeing a company that I used to work for.
Y'all heard that? Did y'all hear that? I think somebody, hold on, Chris. I think they didn't see how we connected the dots. What's the focus on today?
Growth.
The focus for today. I gave y'all 2 focuses when I opened. Y'all forgot. Exposure. Thank you. And tomorrow is execution. So he just gave you an answer on why he said, let's do 90.
Yeah. If they can go from $150 million to $1 billion company, I'm like, we can do it.
Y'all see what I'm talking about?
And I tell myself all the time, and us as men, we probably hear it a lot. We put our pant leg on one leg at a time, right?
Same way.
So I tell myself all the time, if he can do it, if she can do it, I may not be as efficient, I may not be as fluent, I may not be as fast, but I can do the same thing.
Come on,
we
now.
all human.
Somebody say, I deserve to win.
I deserve to win.
So before y'all branched off the electrical plumbing, will y'all self-perform any work?
Oh yeah.
That's the key. That was the key to our success. And when we go back to code, when I was talking about our client who had the mold and mildew problem at their huge property, and also asking for opportunity from the client. Like I was thinking about it when you mentioned too about having a revenue. If you're already working for a client, if you can offer them more than just the MEP stuff, if there's other stuff that you see they're struggling with that they need help with, you know what? Even though it might not be in your wheelhouse, be like, a year from now, I'm gonna be able to help service my client in this area. Because you're already there. You already got the relationship. And sometimes you have to just ask. Because that's what helped us grow. The clients, and Mike talking about the 90 million. I remember, with this one particular client, man, we were glad to get $250,000, $500,000 contract. And then with this particular client, we're getting $40 million single contract. $40 million.
That's why I was going with the question before y'all started. So y'all doing CM work, right?
Yes. So we're working as a GC, and we were also working as a subcontractor.
Right. So I'm trying to get to the bonding. Like, most minority contractors, they can't bond over 5, 10, 15. Are y'all prime on some of these jobs, or y'all had a partner?
Some of them we partnered. Some of them we were prime, and even as a sub, even like right now, the job I'm telling you about, as an electrical company, we have to provide a bond under BAFA-BD for the electrical contract. So once again, just like the bank, you have to develop a relationship with the bonding company as well. Just like with your insurance company, they're going to, search for the right rates for you. And the bonding companies there, if you have a legitimate contract, there's going to be some type of audit on your finances. But if everything lines up, they'll work with you.
Yeah, because we were just talking about the bonding issues over the last. That's part of the issue for minority contractors.
Yeah.
So,
and unfortunately, it is. I thought about that. At one point, we couldn't bond, but to get to the next level, we had to claw, scrape. We had to be laser focused on how do we get here? How do we separate ourselves from from our competition? You know, and so whatever we had to do, you know, keep giving our stuff to the accounting, having all the accounting stuff done correctly. And so that way, when you have a third party auditor looking at all your stuff, you know, because they're vetting out everything. They want to know that if something happened, you know, they're going to be covered as well. So whatever we had to do, we just stayed focused. We knew what the task at hand was, and we just made sure we got to that pinnacle.
Julian, you had a question. Grab that mic, bro.
Oh, thank you. Two questions, but the first one, I kind of was listening to you talk about your different leases, going from your different offices, starting at your garage and then ended up to your current building. I'm just kind of, you know, just wondering, like, what is it that made you need to have more space? Like, what in your business, like, what was driving that?
So
size and
so we were a subcontractor, and primarily at the time we first started our business, we were doing, and we still are heavily involved in the hospitality industry. Like at Disney, like there's so many rooms out there. Lowe's Hotel and Universal, they're building Epic over there now. They're trying to play catch up with Disney, and there's not even counting like the Ritz-Carlton and the Marriotts and all the Hiltons. Like the furniture you're sitting on, all these tables and all this artwork, you know, doing the hospitality, we were doing the FF&E, the fixtures, furniture, and equipment. And so when we had these big, huge contracts, whoever our client was buying product from, they needed somewhere to send their stuff, and it had to be offloaded when they got to Orlando. And so by us having, and that's another thing, by us having a warehouse, you know, it gave us an advantage on someone that was bidding against us, who had to go lease out space from someone else just to go get the job. So now we have the warehouse. And so we're coming in cheaper because we had the facility. And, you know, of course we were paying rent back then, but we just rolled it into our cost. But we didn't have to go reach out to someone that we didn't have a relationship with because we had the facility. But to answer your question, we really needed the space for the work that we were primarily doing at the time, and which was the FF&E. It's a lot of furniture, a lot of huge furniture, mattresses and sofas and all kind of stuff that have to go fill these hotel rooms up.
So did you consider that like another revenue stream?
Okay. So once we bought the building in Groveland, we're like, man, this building is big. Like we can play arena football. We can play football in this building. It was that much space. Like how in the hell are we gonna fill all this space? Did we put up dividing wall? Do we rent it out separate space to different tenants? So once again, when the client realized, hey, they got 40,000 square foot building over there. You know what? What would they charge us to store all of our stuff every month? So now we're making $50,000 a year just storing stuff for the clients, you know, for space that's just sitting there. Yeah, so, you know, it just being diverse and being able to seize those opportunities when the client's knocking on your door. Because like I said earlier, sometimes the opportunity is gone, it's gone. You know, it ain't coming back. And at one point, like one of my mottos back in the day was like, man, I'm not turning down nothing but my collar. When it comes to work, I ain't turning down nothing. And I'm being honest, guys, ladies and gentlemen, like sometimes we didn't know how we were gonna finance the jobs. But we had faith in God that, you know what, if he give us a job, he gonna see us through. Sometimes we didn't get paid. Our employees got paid, the vendors got paid, everybody got paid. We would get paid at the end. But you know, you have to take risks. You got to be resilient. You can't be scared. You know, I was at the racetrack one time at the drag strip, and this guy wanted to bet me on a car. I'm like, man, I don't know that car. But he's like, you know what's wrong? He said, a scared man can't win. Mm. He said, what I mean by that, he said, that car, he might spin his tire. He might just have too much power trying to put to the ground. You know, his nitrous may blow up or something. You don't know who's going to cross the line first, but he said, a scared man can't win. So you never know what you can do unless sometimes you have to just jump in with both feet and just do it. And it's the same way in business. Like I say, we didn't know. Look, I'm just being real. Sometimes it's Friday. It's 12 noon.
Nah, 1:59.
We gotta make payroll. We gotta cut checks at 5 o'clock.
Mhm.
At least by 5 o'clock so they can get to the bank. We need 25,000, 30,000. You know what? God always made a way.
Always.
I had to get on the phone. Hey, can you pay us that? You know, and sometimes the client would be behind on paying us, but no one in our company ever missed a paycheck ever. But like you just have to, and you can't get discouraged when you have those moments.
Mm.
You just can't.
Got to keep going.
I'm just telling y'all real life experiences, of what we've been through. And like I was telling Mike, man, we used to get $100,000, $200,000 checks, and oh my God, we would be so happy. Now it's like, oh, okay, that's it. That's all came in. So yeah.
So, Chris, I wanted you to, and I'll do an introduction in front of everybody. I wanted you to meet Glenn Moore. Firehawk. What? How do you say the rest of it? Industries. Art installers.
Okay.
Yeah. Give them your tagline.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We specialize in hanging artwork, TVs, bathroom fixtures, basically anything you can attach to a wall.
Anything you can attach to a wall.
That's good.
And so, bro, I wanted y'all to connect.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Because
You local?
yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So to me, he's the next Chris Lofton. He's the next New Horizon.
Because to be honest, like we outsource that now. Like I don't want to have the 30 guys doing it. I'd rather pay you.
See what I'm
I
talking about?
make a little cut off you.
Thank you,
But that's what I'd rather
Michael.
do. Yeah, that's what because we're doing it now with a couple of companies. Like I want to be able to cut my overhead. I do the trucking. You got the installers, and I do the trucking because we own
Look
the
at
trucks
that.
and stuff.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, that'll be. I need to get you into the office. Be for my team for real. I'll do it.
Thank you, Michael. Now make me look good now. All right, any more questions? Go ahead, bro.
You mentioned MBE certification.
Yes.
And that's minority
business enterprise.
And, you mentioned that, you kind of said two things. You said one is, well, do you feel it was important and it had an instrumental effect on your business?
It's important, and I tell anybody, look, I grew up in Mississippi. There's a history back there, Alabama and some of the other southern states. I tell people, I'm like, look, back home, it's a good old boy network. I'm like, here, if they're doing a $300 million job and they say 30 million of that gonna go to minority-owned businesses, veteran-owned business, and women-owned business, they're gonna spend 30 million with women, minority, and veteran-owned business. So it's really vital to have those certifications. Really vital.
Like,
But you can't just depend on that.
Right.
You still have to go out and hunt. You still gotta go do your own door knocking. You have to have revenues coming from everywhere. Because a lot of times you're dealing with the government entities and the city, county, state, whatever. They might be a little slow pay, and there's a lot more paperwork, and Mike can tell you there's a lot more, versus dealing with the private industry. For them to spend an extra $5-6 million on a job is nothing. The county, state, city, it might take an act of Congress literally for them to get that extra money. So you have to have revenue coming in from different people, different companies, not just because if you put your eggs in one basket, you're going to be in big trouble.
I want to ask a question that piggyback on what you asked Scott the last session, Glenn. What % of your business is government contracts?
Right now, it's a low percent. I would say less than 5%.
So I want you all to notice something. You just had 2 contractors that do a lot of work sit here and tell you their percentage of government contracts is very low. Are y'all with me? So I know that he and I kind of had a lot of government contracts, pursued a lot of government contracts, but you don't have to rely on them.
Yes.
It's more work, and Scott told us there's more work outside of just the government. That's low-hanging fruit. Get the experience, build a resume, and take it somewhere else. Anybody else? Other questions?
Is it easier to do government contracting than to do private?
I don't think so.
No. Private is
More
easier.
complicated to do the government contract?
Yeah. That's why I feel like if you get your training and education doing that, you should be able to go anywhere. So if you make it through that.
but I will say, we hired a guy from Washington State, and this other guy that's coming over from Colorado. I actually know him. They both have extensive government experience, so we're gonna try to get more into that because that is a market that's untapped for us.
Right.
And just like here in the city, and even on the private side, they have money set aside for the minorities and veterans as well. A lot of money.
So that's a strategy to bring in an additional revenue stream where he's not already, but he already has the resume to qualify to do that work. So you're looking at what's open for me, and no different than what Scott said earlier. I'm not going to go anywhere that's going to make it harder for me to work. It has to make sense, right? So if I see it as a true opportunity and true opening for me, then I'm able to access that a lot easier than when it first started. So most people start, and especially in our community, push government contracting just because it's low hanging fruit. You know, you're going to get paid, right? You're not dealing with some of those risks on the private side that you may deal with on the private side. Like Scott does a lot of development. Well, Chris works with a lot of private corporations that have the money, right? So it's a little bit different. However, you know, with the government for sure, you're going to get paid. Right. And so most of us in our community just focus on that because we know we're going to get paid. However, every market's the same. You have to first learn it. And once you learn it, then you can master it.
I just want to, I just want to kind of touch on it. It's just something I think I just have to say it.
Go ahead.
Kind of what Mike's saying, you know, a lot of time when we're starting our business, hey, go apply for this, go apply for that. And, you know, go to the government and, you know, you're going to get to work. Even like with us as, you know, minorities, a lot of times, you know, we're taught, hey, get out of high school, join the military, go to school, you know, maybe retire, get your pension, this, that, and the other. They're not telling us to go be business owners. So we have to break that cycle. And for me, I told myself, I'm going to break this economic chain. I'm not going to have the mindset that my mom, my dad had, that I have to work till I'm 65 or whatever and just rely on retirement. I broke that freaking chain. I broke the cycle. And so what Mike is saying too, we need to break that cycle as well. There's a lot of work around here. And we don't have to just all be trying to go to the same pond and tap into this one that people are, because that's what they tell us to go to. You know, we have to just think out the box and just, you know, be resilient and be a risk taker. You just have to. I don't mean.
Pass the mic to.
It's sort of a loaded question. Going back to what we were talking about earlier, what is more difficult entity to deal with? Federal government work versus airport work versus Disney work? I've heard all of those stories.
Well,
dealing with.
I guess for the most part, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, if you're providing those services and those sales, you know, giving that customer the satisfaction that they're paying for the most part, you're not going to have no problems. Nowhere. But I think with the government, there may be a little more red tape, but as like I say, we're trying to get paid for certain things and, you know, change orders and things like that. It may be a little slow. Your office definitely going to have to work more because they have to do the Davis-Bacon and all this other reporting stuff that you may be a little unorthodox for some people to do.
That's on all government work?
Federal.
Federal.
Mm-hmm.
If it has federal funds, you have to, most likely the Davis-Bacon Act is a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Fair Wages
But
Act.
for me, private sector, the way to go.
Well, you're lucky, Chris.
It's not about luck. It's about creating that path. I got,
we
hand it to Glenn for me. Thank you.
So my question is, we mentioned about those certification MBE. How imperative, important, or complicated is it for them to get their MBE to position themselves for opportunities of collaboration in contracting where someone else, I guess, a major contractor has the deal, but they can get included that needed an MBE minority, because we think in the normal that we're minority, but intellectually, we're not a minority business until we're certified in MBE.
Yes.
How important do you feel that is, and how complicated that is for them to become MBE?
It's very important. Most of them, the complications, they may want to do a site visit. They want to see your financial. They want to know what your gross revenue, sales are, employee count, things of that nature. The one that I would say is the toughest to get, and Mike, you can probably correct me, is going to be the city of Orlando. They are tough. But I appreciate what they do, because there's a panel of, like, the last time we went, it was like 12 people. And I'm a black. I mean, you can tell I'm black, right? But like, they go through a vetting process and they're quizzing you. They want to make sure that your name is on the bank account, that there's not some other person who has a lot of money just using you as a pawn, or they're the person behind you. They want to make sure that when they cut this check, that it's going to you. I've seen black people not get their certification because someone that was not of our ethnicity loaned them, like, at the time, loaned this guy like $300,000. And they just saw a lot of trickery going on. Got denied. Another lady, she was trying to get her woman-owned business. She was an ex-news anchor. I forgot the lady's name, but she moved out to Texas and moved back out here to Florida. But her husband's name was on the lease of the building that they had bought. So that you're 100% woman-owned. Well, your husband owned the building. Denied. So what I'm saying is they are serious. They vet out everything. So they're the toughest one to get, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, they need certain, if they're MBE and they get on the contract under you, and you're the major controller of the contract, but you bring them in under, do you cover their bonding, or they still have to have bonding themselves?
I guess it depends. Honestly, I've done more bonding on the public side than on the private side. So I never had to really enter into an agreement where I had to cover someone else's bond. But I will say, sometimes we use trade partners. So in essence, if I am using someone else, I'm still covering the bond, if that kind of help answer your question.
We've been talking about exposure. Could you kind of expose us to you having that issue with the lease for the 7,500 and the guy kind of saying, "Hey, we don't like this." Did you experience that starting out within the private sector at all? And like in Rico, right? Yeah, Rico was mentioning like airports and like these are businesses, and then I heard you say door knocking, right? So in my mind I'm thinking, how do you door knock at the airport, right? Like, could you kind of expose us?
So it's just like with the airport, I get notifications all the time. Maybe some of you guys do too. Hey, Goa is hosting this event. They're going to be spending $180 million. The job is going to start up in 10 months, but they have outreach events. So you go there to the outreach events. You got to go sell yourself to the airport administrators. You got to sell yourself to the bigger primes that are getting the $300 million contract or whatever. I'm just saying, you have to make yourself visible and just go sell your company. So when I say door knocking, it's shooting emails, going to these networking events, and just making yourself seen, and just selling your business, selling your services.
All right, I'm gonna give you all something we been doing in our cohort around marketing. So the old way is the 4 P's. The new way is SAVE: solutions, access, value. Anybody remember? I know, Glenn, you know. Education. So the new way of marketing is around making sure you're demonstrating you have a solution to their problem. The only way to know the solution is to identify what is their real problem. Because sometimes their problem is not they need a contractor. Maybe they need a more competitive contractor, or they need someone that's going to show up on time. So what is the solution that you have that's answering their problem? What's the access? Chris talked about, hey, we have a warehouse. He's giving more access to a client that needed that. What's also the availability, how quick they can get a hold of you? How can they contact you? How can they get more information on you? Are you accessible? Value. Are you demonstrating the value of it's not just what you think it is? Can they see the relationship being valuable? And then education. How are you educating other people about not only what you do, but just helping them?
Yes. And to Mike's point, I'm just thinking about a project to where we're waiting on product to come in from the manufacturer. Okay, we can have it on truck. It'll be here in 10 days. We need this like ASAP. So you know what? Hey, Mr. Owner, you know what we're going to do? We're going to put some out on the plane. We're going to fly them to Texas. They're going to get the U-Haul truck or the Penske truck, and they're going to have this. They're going to drive through the weekend. It's going to be here Monday. So stuff like that, just making yourself accessible, just stepping up to the plate, and they just keep rewarding you when you're looking out for their best interest. And we've done that, I don't know how many times, to where we've had to expedite, putting a guy in a truck, driving up to Atlanta, and then he's back the next day, all the time. And it don't go unnoticed. It don't go unnoticed.
All right. You asked your question?
Yes, so it was particularly close to that one. And then my second one is, what kind of mindset did you put yourself in when you walked into rooms where no one looked like you? As a female CEO, I find myself a lot in the white male counterparts because of what I do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. First of all, I would like to say, like, they were good people. Even though a lot of them didn't look like me, some would, mentor me. And I'm going to go back to Hensel Phelps. When I was an employee, I remember they came to me one day, Chris, man, the company is changing. The company they need to be more diverse with women, having women in positions. They need to have more people of color in positions. And they were honest. They're like, just because you or your ethnicity and just because you're a woman, it don't mean that you're going to get a certain position. You have to earn it. So you can appreciate when someone come to you with that. So with me going into meetings, I know that these guys had and some of these guys were like, oh, no, it'd be my grandpa or my dad. And they were good guys. So it was a comfortable situation. I never felt awkward or anything like that. The one thing I will say, they flew me out, we went out to Colorado one time, and I'm at the corporate office. And I was working here, and I was something happened. Something happened on the job, and then it triggered my trip to Colorado. So as I'm walking down this long hallway to the president's office, I just see Caucasian guys, both sides of the hallway, come to start in 1930. So by the time you get up, I think in this time it was like in the mid-90s, you start seeing one little black dot here, one little black dot there. And they just kind of touched me the wrong way. And so I expressed that one time to them. But they made a lot of strides since then, and it was a good company that I was working with.
Yeah, I think sometimes having been in that same position, you can experience different emotions. Sometimes people can cause you to feel even more insecure than you already are. Mm-hmm. But then, like Chris said, you can be exposed to others that are allies that can make you feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it still starts with us.
And to circle back, I just thought about something else to her question. You know, I tell my brothers and some of my family sometimes, like, you know what? Some of the things I went through as a Black employee, I still go through as a Black owner. You know, I do. And I'm still sometimes the only one there. You know, it's life, but those experiences back then prepared me for now. So just navigate through it.
Awesome. Anybody else? All right, y'all clap it up for Chris. Oh, you got one more?
I got 2 and 1, and I'm done.
All right, 2 and 1 and done. Count them down. The clock.
I asked this to Scott, so I'm asking it to you. As you scale and you're being competitive to your market, there's a responsibility to keep rainmakers in your business. You reproduce yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Did you develop plans to strategically keep your rainmakers who cause your business to expand? Did you discover to set that up in place? And then my second question is, which I didn't ask Scott, and I wish I had, but Dr. Stephen J. Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says we begin with the end in mind. Have you, or do you, or will you set up an exit strategy for yourself at some point if you haven't already?
So the exit strategy is already in place. My business partner and I, we both have succession plans. He has a daughter and a son in the company. I have a daughter and a son in the company. They're being groomed now. They're working under other people. They know at some point they're going to be taking the reins, but they have to work under other people and learn different management styles and things of that nature. And the one thing I tell my kids too, look, if you can't handle the affairs of your own personal life, you can always have a job in this company, but you won't be running the company. That's going to be up to you. I'm like, you think everybody that runs Walmart Corporation, you think they're all family members? No, they got other smart people that they hired to come help run Walmart. Walt Disney been dead a long time. It's some smart people running that organization. So like I told my kid, you can be in the driver's seat or you can be in the back seat. You can have a job, but it's up to you to where your destiny and your future lie in the company. And as far as the rainmakers, yeah, we have people that are with us since our doors open. We watch kids grow up. We watch them go off to college, get married, have kids. And we recognize the talent, even the young talent in our company, you know, of them, you know, getting promoted and running up through the ranks and being senior people in the company. So yes. And I say it all the time, your company is only great as the people in it.
That was 2 points. That was it.
Well, the piece about strategically structured programs to attract the best people that become rainmakers, and individually structured programs that keep them retained. Because my experience in business for the time period, you can only grow as fast as you can retain the wealth of training and knowledge and investment you put into.
Yeah.
If you constantly turn over,
we don't have a high turnover. We have a low turnover. I will say we have to be competitive in the market. Like, I don't make the money that Hensel Phelps or Baffert Bees and other guys make.
Yeah.
But I have to almost pay what they pay. I just have to be competitive and keep good talent. Because it goes back to the people. You got to have the right people. Because I couldn't even be here today. You know, I can go off for 2 weeks on vacation and the wheels are still turning. My business partner, he's leaving tomorrow, going for 2 weeks out west. Having the right people affords you that. And take care of your clients. Because again, people do business with people. You know, he's ACY, New Horizon Construction Services, but we have to have the right people in front of the client too. We just have to. People do business with people. Yes.
I was going to piggyback off some stuff. What's your name? Julia? Yeah. What you was asking is, as far as the certifications, I know like the airport, they reciprocate or they recognize City of Orlando's MBE. I don't know if the county does. They might be doing it, and then they've gone to the same system, online system that the city is doing. So it's not hard. It's just tedious. It's a long process. And then at the airport, the only thing that's going to separate you from that is the DVE certification.
Yeah.
So that's disadvantage.
Disadvantage business. Yeah.
Just stay in the community, bro. We'll teach you all you need to know.